Well, tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, you know, the migrant crisis is something that is touching everybody. It don't matter what side of the aisle you are on politics. It don't matter if you don't like to even discuss politics or anything like that. This issue is actually affecting everyone. This is a crisis that we're dealing with. Just like we had dealt with the pandemic, this is an issue. But this issue is a created issue. This isn't a natural phenomenon. It's created because the Biden administration wants open borders. And if you didn't believe that, recently, when Texas took away a portion of the border because Border Patrol wasn't stopping the people from coming into the country, Texas took about 2.5 miles of the border, put up razor wire, put up fences, and when they caught them trying to cross, they was arresting them. Biden wanted to go to the Supreme Court and also threatened Texas that if they don't remove that razor wire and those fences to keep letting these people come into the country, they threatened them with prosecution and lawsuits. Right there prove that the Biden administration has an open border policy that is hurting and affecting all people in this country. This country, if you don't have a sovereignty as a nation, if you don't have borders, if you don't have laws, rules, etc., then you don't have a nation. And that is destabilizing the nation. You're letting a bunch of men, and I'm going to keep on focusing on the men aspect. You're letting a bunch of military-age men come into this country, not a bunch of women and children, a bunch of military-age men who they don't know who they are. They're dumping their IDs, so you don't know who they are, because some of them could be God knows who. Could have been let out the, mental health facilities. Could be having their jails empty. That's not the first time that's happened. Castro in Cuba did that. He emptied out his jails and sent them all to Florida. So that's not the first time that would be done. But I want you to hear with Charlamagne, because Charlamagne is quite shocked that a lot of people are really affected and talking about this migrant crisis and really upset about it. Let's go ahead and roll with Charlamagne gonna say.
I have the privilege, man, of doing morning radio and speaking to working class people every single day. I have the privilege of being involved in my community from New York to New Jersey to South Carolina, where I get to look people in the eyes and have real conversations with them. And, people are really concerned about this issue. Like I honestly have never spoken to as many people who are concerned about the migrant issue as I have, over the past year. And I mean, I've heard everything from, the gang MS-13, overrunning neighborhoods. I've heard, what we saw just happened in New York City, where the migrants, they took 2,000 migrants and put them in the school and made the school stay home, made the students stay home and do school via Zoom. And that was a big issue. Like, I mean, people were calling the radio station, that was just this week, really, really, really complaining about that. So I've never seen, working class people who I interact with every day until this past year really, really, really express their frustration for the migrants. And it's not even just the people. Like, you see politicians who once, championed having the migrants in the city, like the mayor Eric Adams of New York. Now they're like, yo, hold up. This is too much. We've heard Vice President Kamala Harris say, hey, don't come. Like, we've seen that. So yeah, I think it's going to be a real big issue. Go to those sound bites, and they're going to go to those sound bites where they saw, the President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris and Mayor Eric Adams and all of these other, liberals and Democrats. They're going to go to those sound bites of them welcoming them into sanctuary cities. And I mean, when Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott pulled that stunt where they were, shipping migrants to these sanctuary cities, dropping them off, right in front of, the vice president's house, as cruel as that was, as inhumane as that was, it was effective. Clearly it was effective, because it made a lot of those Democrats start singing a different tune. And I mean, the voters see that, the voters see that. And so what does that look like to the voter? Just on the surface, it looks like Republicans were right about the issue and Democrats got it wrong. And now a lot of Democrats are starting to sound like the Republicans sounded. So it makes a lot of people say, well, damn, Republicans were actually right on that issue. Just on the surface, just plain on the surface, that's how it looks, to the average voter.
Charlamagne. Why are you so surprised how people are feeling? Why are you so shocked how many, as you say, working class people are calling the show and going off about the migrants? The reason why you're shocked by this is because what y'all have to understand, the black elite, Boule, all that sort of people, the gatekeepers that Cat Williams was talking about, right? Which is always the black elite, the black Boule, right? They are so far removed from the problems that what we deal with as black people in the community or the rest of the country. Charlamagne, the reason why he don't understand it is because the migrants not going to his neighborhood. They won't let them in the neighborhood. His kids not being affected. His kids was not removed out of a school so migrants could be in there, right? So that's why he don't relate to that. That's why he's so shocked. But Charlamagne, either you really not in the streets like you talking about, you say you talk to people or whatever, but if you talk to people, then why don't you in New York, why don't you go where the migrants are at? Take some cameras with you and go out there. You got a machine behind you, right? But you know good and well you can't do that because that machine that you work for is all in with the Democrat Party. We know that. Now, Charlamagne, let's talk about something. Maybe we can do a little, education or something going on in the city, and maybe you can go down there and find out what's going on. Let's put this new headline that just came up on the screen. NYC neighborhood turned into giant toilet as migrants litter park with poop, leave cups of urine on doorsteps. Charlamagne, that comes from the New York Post. Sir, you in New York City doing a show, and you mean to tell me you didn't know about this happening in New York? You're quite shocked about all the working class people. And let me tell you something. We're gonna go through this, but that in itself is a health crisis. You have to understand there are places, and y'all know what I'm talking about, throughout the world where they don't mind defecating in the street. They don't mind taking peeing all over the place. In this society, we don't do that. And if you get caught, usually you go to jail. Because you got to have a civilized nation. But when you sit up here and you just import people that's coming in who their own countries don't want, because you have to understand, all those countries those people coming from, it's a lot of people that's living there every day. You have the people who work hard every day and try to make their country great. You got the elite in their countries. So you better believe this isn't the elite or the working class people who got some pride within their nation, who's trying to make their nation a better place, who's trying to build a legacy for their people and their families. I respect those people. All the people that's still in Guatemala, all the people in Venezuela, all the people that's in Colombia, Mexico. They're saying people coming from West Africa, whether they Nigerian or they Ghanaian or wherever they coming from. There are plenty of people in that country every day that's fighting the good fight and trying to do what's right for their people. I respect all those nations of people. But what I don't respect is people gaming the system here. And it's not, once again, this isn't doctors coming across. This isn't scientists. This isn't engineers. It isn't, people who are architects or plumbers or no. These are people that's coming in. A lot of times we don't know what they got going on, but for sure their homeland say, yeah, you can go ahead and go. We don't need you here. Now let's get into this. So Charlamagne could maybe go find out about this. So they say migrants outside of an East Village intake center have been, they say, crappy neighbors. That's like a literally play on words. They say since November, thousands of adult migrants have waited outside the former St. Bridges school on East 7th Street and an overflow into Tompkins Square Park to score a bed in the city shelter system after their 30-day and 60-day stay limits expired. But poop hit the fan and the sidewalks and the streets. Last week, when City Parks Department yanked a trio of porta potties from the park, they say the loos had become so filthy that workers gave up on maintaining them, according to locals. They said, and they quote, there was a cup of what I thought was somebody's discarded hot chocolate that turned out to not be hot chocolate, said a street cleaner, John Cashman. Y'all, that is the sickest thing I ever heard. Once again, that is going to create a health care crisis in New York City. That is a problem waiting to happen. That kind of environment doing things like that. But this is what y'all voted for. When you vote for that Biden administration, and then I'll get to that. Let me go through this. They say, quote, on warmer days, it can smell like a toilet over here and not a well-kept toilet. They say in the past week, locals and volunteers said they spotted cups filled with urine around the park's entrance near the former school, along with human-sized poop in tree beds and between parked cars. Charlamagne, do you understand, brother, why people calling you upset? You understand now? Who wants to go walk to their car and see something like that? Who? They're supposed to be human beings, not dogs, not other animals, human beings. And look what they're doing. But Americans shouldn't be complaining about all this, right? Continue. Say, quote, most of them want to pee in plastic cups rather than the ground, and they leave them on people's doorsteps, said a longtime resident, Garrett Rosso, 64 years old, who said he spotted a dozen cups filled with urine. So now on top of they doing this, they're literally harassing and terrorizing people with urine and excrement. But Charlamagne, you didn't know any of this was going on? You so shocked and surprised? And Eric Adams, let's talk about you for a minute, Eric Adams. Man, you are one sorry mayor. Ain't no way I can be a mayor of a city like New York and not deal with that issue. Listen, you already had a rat infestation. That's the nastiest thing ever. Then on top of the rats, now you got this. This is horrible. New York City is literally turning into the garbage dumpster. Literally. All because these Democrat mayors won't stand up and say, hey, look, okay, enough's enough. This city is not a sanctuary city no more. If you come here, I'm going to send you right over there to with the governor. If she want to say sanctuary, she can. But you're not coming to NYC no more. Oh, no. Matter of fact, I'm calling Greg Abbott today and say, look, Governor Abbott, we have put a proclamation. We're no longer a sanctuary city. Don't send them here. I'm letting you know that right now, because I'm shipping them away from here as we speak. I'm putting them on buses and sending them over there with the governor, and she could deal with them. But they ain't going to be here no more. See, that's what, and trust me, if Eric Adams did something like that, oh, he would win a re-election so quick because people would be happy with him. They'll be very happy if you, but y'all so committed to this Democrat agenda that's harming America. I said America. It's harming everybody. It's harming Democrats. It's harming Republicans. And remember, Charlamagne even was admitting that Democrats now are saying, all right, man, yeah, I was all for welcoming people and all that, but come on, man, this is a little too much. And the fact that Charlamagne has said that, well, what DeSantis and what Governor Abbott has been doing, oh, it's basically been genius. No, this is the issue. Forever, Texas, especially Texas, have been dealing with this migrant issue for decades. Governor Abbott is the only one to say, hey, okay, you sanctuary cities, you want to welcome them? I got some migrants for you. And you can go in on and they can go to your city. Because why is it that Texas taxpayers has to brunt all our tax dollars and resources going to people that just coming over here when you have a president in office that believe in an open border policy? Once again, when he made threats at Texas about opening that border back up so they could come across here, he exposed his hand at that point. Now, let's continue. It say one migrant, it say had no problem taking, it say a whiz on a tree Wednesday afternoon as the Post, they said surveyed the stomach churning scene. They say the southeastern part of the park was also littered with spilled food and plastic containers. They say, quote, I've cut this part of the park out of my daily walk because of the filth, said a neighbor, Michael Barley, 73 years old. He said there's several thousand people coming to this end of the park with no place to use the bathroom. Susan Stetzer, district manager of the Community Board 3, said park workers, they say, removed the Tompkins porta potties last week because they were being trashed to the point they could not be maintained. The portable bathrooms were installed in Tompkins last year to provide relief while the park's field house is undergoing an 18-month renovation. They say the migrants, mostly from West Africa and South America, and who are among the more than 100,000 who've been in the city's care since spring 2022, said they've been blocked by intake center staff from using the building's restrooms. They said when we want to go to the toilet, they said the retake center, sometimes people tell you no, said one man who gave his name as Abu Salim. He said, you have to go out here. See, a park spokesperson said porta potties are difficult to maintain and clean, and said, but that a public restroom operated by the agency was available at McKinley Playground roughly 7 minutes away. They say a spokesperson for the mayor's office said they were aware of the complaints regarding a lack of showers and bathrooms, but added that many migrants are choosing to line up when they don't have to. So many are sleeping outside and standing on line. It say despite space at short-term holding centers. Now, let me center back to all these boule. Notice the Congressional Black Caucus have not, listen, this is Congressional Black Caucus with the migrant crisis. That's them. Crickets, not saying a word about the migrant crisis. You're supposed to be the Congressional Black Caucus, and you're not talking about how the migrants are being put in the black community, especially in Chicago. You're not talking about, we already a community that's disadvantaged as a collective. We don't get the resources we need. We definitely need reparations, but we don't get the resources that we need as it is. And they're putting migrants in the black communities. We've been there before. During the Vietnam War, they were putting Vietnamese all in the black communities. I remember seeing it, the constant flow of Vietnamese in the 80s. I remember seeing them constantly coming into the black communities, getting homes, getting businesses in the black communities, getting shrimp boats. I remember all that. And we didn't know back then like we know now, but we know that the U.S. government was giving them money for businesses, giving them money for food, paying their place to stay. That's why these groups come in here and get above you so quick, because they're literally getting the assistance to do it. They're not pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. We're told to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. And the Congressional Black Caucus know about all these programs. Look, y'all have to listen. Listen to me. The Congressional Black Caucus know about every program these migrants or any of these other people are getting. They know. They're part of Congress. They know what they're getting. They won't tell me and you how we can get into that program. They won't tell us to say, hey, we need a black version of Edward Bloom over here, and we need to start suing the government about those programs since black Americans can't get it. See, they won't do that. They won't. They will collect their checks. They will be corrupt. They bought and paid for, and they will watch the entire black community go down the drain. They don't care. As long as they're good, they can go stay in the same neighborhood as they white liberal friends. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. Once again, The silence of the Congressional Black Caucus with the migrant crisis. They won't say a word. The mayors in these cities, all for it, supporting it. They just begging for Biden them to give them money so they can keep on taking care of the people. But this is a Democrat policy that they're doing. I told y'all before, nothing can happen to black people in this nation without the assistance of black people. When we all on code, notice how they start moving around and changing different things. Give example. The delineation movement that's happening right now. You see how nervous everybody's getting about that delineation movement? Why? Because when black folks get on code and it's a leaderless movement and everybody's saying the same thing at the same time, or they trying to draw us into conflicts that has nothing to do with black America, and we like, nah, we ain't got nothing to do with us. We focusing on us right now. And how people are getting upset. People are say, what's going on? Why black people not talking about this? Why doing this? Why do? It's not our issue, not our problem. Every group have burned us when we tried to assist. So we saying, hey, you do you, right? That's bothering people. We look at this issue right now that's going on, Charlamagne, and this is why in Georgia, you got 20% of people right now talking about voting Trump and 10% of black people saying they voting the couch. That's why. And Trump getting closer and closer to the nomination because Ron DeSantis, as of today, dropped out of the presidential race. And he was number 2 in Iowa. If anybody should have dropped out, Nikki Haley should have dropped out because she was number 3. But she thinking her rabbit mind, Nimrata, not Nikki, Nimrata, that's her name. Saw something interesting about her. She was cheating on her husband and everything. Like, wow, Nimrata. You know, you say there's not a racist country, but then you got videos saying that it is a racist country, but you got a black son-in-law? Nimrata? Okay. But that woman there that's why nobody gonna take her seriously. But this migrant crisis is definitely number 1. And then after the migrant crisis, people gonna talk about the economy. That's the 2 major things that everybody on one accord is talking about. And you Democrats, especially the Congressional Black Caucus, you keep playing games. You can do all the shaming you want. You can do all the cussing you want. It's not going to work. You can ancestor shame. You can do that too. It's not going to work. All you're saying about Trump, oh my God, Trump, he's going to do this to America. Trump didn't have an open border policy though. When Trump was in office, we had money in our pocket. Trump talking about when he get back in office, he's drilling the first day he get back in and he trying to get them gas prices down to $2. I don't know about you, but I want that. Gas is affecting everybody's pocketbook. All that, you can't say, well, put me in office because I'm not him. You only had one time to do that. And now it's worse because you had 3 years, almost 4 years to show how you were so much better than the other guy. And now Americans are worse off. We literally have been invaded. It's an invasion. But it's not an invasion like they came in, they overtook our military and all that. And no. This was hey, just come on in. Nobody stops you. Just come on in. Then come over here arrogant, telling black folk no money for you. You're lazy. Where they get that from? So Charlamagne, you know what's going on, Charlamagne. No, don't play dumb, bro. Don't play dumb. Come on, you more educated than that. You are way more educated than that. The deal is, and I've been hearing lately, Charlamagne, that the Democrats been kind of mad at you. Here lately, I've been hearing that, Charlamagne. Democrats upset because you're talking a little too much, and they don't like that. Now, Charlamagne, you're not free like I am. You too tied in with them. And one thing, Charlamagne, you better understand about racism, white supremacy, Charlamagne, is that if they let you in, they're gonna break you. and they already got some dirt on you already. They already got dirt on you because this is the way it goes with them. They don't let you get a certain height with them if they don't have dirt on you. That way they can use it to break you and to take everything from you. They don't want nobody around them that's too squeaky clean. That's what I've learned about racism, white supremacy. Period. Or if they can't get you that way, they just want to have you in a vulnerable position or have you feeling that everything you do, if it's not through their system, you can't do nothing. Basically, they fire you from the Breakfast Club. They fire you from everything that you got, that you can't build nothing on your own. Some people can build on their own, like Shannon Sharp. He got let go. He got his podcast going. He do First Take as a part-time thing. But Shannon don't need none of them, right? And I like to see brothers that do things like that, and sisters. But the migrant crisis is the number one issue in America. The number one. Last election, it was the pandemic. This time, it's the migrant crisis. But once again, nobody in this country, or even Trump himself, opened the door and let that in during the pandemic. Biden opened up the door from day one. So when you hear people like Tiffany Cross talking about she's going to go vote for Biden, and Angela Rye talking about she's going to go out there and vote for Biden, that's what they're voting for. They're voting for more cups of excrement to be at your door. That's what they're voting for. Because at this point, if you go vote for Biden, then you're complicit just as much as he is at this point. You're voting for open borders. You're voting for invasion. You're voting for it. And if you go out and vote for that mess in the next election, I don't want to hear you complaining no more. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing at all from you. Like, don't come tell me nothing because that's what you voted for and you like it. So get ready with your new neighbors. Open up your doors. Don't be surprised next them Democrats going to try to force some of y'all that got big houses to start sheltering them. Or some of you landlords that got houses that may be sitting, they may start forcing y'all to start letting them stay in your rent houses. Listen, when it comes to the Democrats, I told you they are the authoritarian Democrats. To me, they are not about no doggone democracy. When they showed me in Chicago that they don't even want the citizens to vote if they want the sanctuary city or not, I say, okay, they're not for democracy. And I know people say, well, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. Well, tell people that then. Stop using the word democracy and just say we're a republic. And we got some elements of democracy, but we're really not a democracy. Just tell people that. But more and more as we go along, and you're going to see more and more of the elite class in the black community, in the CBC. And I saw Ayanna Pressley the other day trying to keep talking about more migrants and things like that. Ayanna Pressley is not living in no area the migrants going to bother her. She lives in a good area with her friends, her white friends. She is not dealing with that. I'm telling y'all, you do good not to take no cues from a Charlamagne, from a black politician at this point, a black mayor, because they're not for us like that. They're proving it. They're for the Democrat Party. They get their check by promoting the agenda. And if you silly enough to go out there and vote for them again,